in obedience to the challenge that was thrown at me by the DCI to record a statement.
In a shocking turn of events, Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi has made damning allegations against Kenya's National Intelligence Service, NIS, accusing it of being behind the abduction of his son, Leslie Muturi, in June 2024. This revelation has not only left many Kenyans bewildered, but has also raised serious questions about the government's internal operations and accountability.
I've been quiet for some time now.
Muturi, a seasoned politician and former National Assembly Speaker, disclosed these allegations in an official statement to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, DCI. According to his account, his son was taken in Nairobi on June 22, 2024, and was only released after President William Ruto personally intervened with a phone call. In his statement to the police, he recounted the lengths he went to in search of his son, including personally reaching out to some of the highest-ranking officials in the government. Despite being a cabinet secretary, his pleas for assistance were met with silence. Among those he contacted were then Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki, now Deputy President, Internal Security Principal Secretary Raymond Omolo, NIS Director General Noordin Haji, and other top security officials. Yet, it wasn't until President Ruto's direct intervention that Leslie was released. This explosive narrative raises critical questions about the state of governance in Kenya. Why would a sitting cabinet secretary's pleas be ignored? What does this incident reveal about the power dynamics within the government? And most importantly, what is the truth behind the abductions that have gripped the nation in fear?
In the end, Mr. Muturi said, it took a call by President Ruto to Mr. Haji, who he said had been ducking his calls for 2 days, to have Leslie released. Standing outside the State House Nairobi pavilion, I heard the president ask Noordin Haji if he was holding my son. Noordin confirmed that indeed he was holding my son, and the president instructed him to release Leslie immediately. Noordin responded that Leslie would be released within the hour. Mr. Muturi narrated in his written statement to the DCI. The CS, in the statement to the police, said his son was abducted on June 22, 2024, shortly after he and his friends, including Embakasi West MP Mark Mwenje and another man identified as Marang Imanyara, had had a drink at a restaurant in Kilimani before deciding to attend a birthday party in Lavington. Moments later, Leslie was abducted by hooded gunmen who jumped out of a white Prado brandishing AK-47 rifles. They forced him into their vehicle before speeding off. This account, Mr. Muturi said, was given to him by his son's wife and was confirmed to him by Mr. Mwenje. Immediately he was informed about the abduction. Mr. Muturi said he called Mr. Kumi, who informed him there was no such approved police operation and promised to circulate the information to police stations and give him an update. Mr. Muturi then called Dr. Omolo, who assured him he would get to the bottom of the matter, before also calling both Mr. Haji and Mr. Amin, who did not pick his calls. Worried, Mr. Muturi said he called Mr. Kume again. The IG informed him that he had alerted all personnel on all routes and that they suspected it was a common robbery. By this time, Mr. Muturi had rushed to the scene where Leslie had been abducted, and he again called Dr. Omolo and informed him that he had contacted several agencies to assist in finding his son. But the PS, he said, was still inclined to believe Leslie's case was a carjacking. Around the same time, they received information that police officers from Kilimani had received CCTV footage from Royal Media Services through the help of Ndungu Gathenji, former Tetu MP, who convinced Mr. Wachira Waruru, the CEO of the media house, to release the footage. The footage showed Leslie driving out of the restaurant, which is close to the media house, followed by Mr. Mwenje. Mr. Muturi narrated that the Prado and another vehicle resembling a Probox followed the two friends before snatching Leslie. At around 3 a.m., the CS said he sent a WhatsApp message to President Ruto informing him of his son's abduction. He told the police that he then called the ATPU boss, since this unit uses vehicles that resemble those involved in Leslie's abduction. The CS then again called Mr. Amin, but his calls and messages went unanswered, forcing him to reach out to the DCI deputy boss, John Onyango, who said he was unaware of any such operation, and that no such incident had been reported. Similarly, the ATPU boss said that the unit had no such operation that night and it was not involved, Mr. Muturi said in the statement. A friend from NIS called informing me that my son was being held by their people. I shared this message with my friends and it was agreed that I should call Noordin Haji again. Despite multiple attempts, he did not answer, Mr. Muturi indicated. It is at this point that the CS decided to call Professor Kindiki, who he said was shocked upon hearing what had happened to Leslie. 15 minutes later, Professor Kindiki called back, saying he had spoken with the DG NIS, who denied holding Leslie. Despite my insistence that I had confirmed information from an NIS officer, Professor Kindiki maintained that the DG could not be lying, Mr. Muturi noted.
Mr. Muturi informed the police that he decided to drive to State House to meet President William Ruto in person. Upon arrival, he found the president had just finished lunch with a group of legislators, including Mwangi Kiunjuri, Laikipia East, and John Kawanjiku Kiamba. He waited patiently until their discussion concluded and then approached the president. When Mr. Muturi mentioned the message he had sent the previous night, the president explained that his phone had crashed due to an overload of messages. Mr. Muturi then recounted his ordeal, detailing his interactions with various government officials who had been unable or unwilling to assist, and expressed his strong belief that the National Intelligence Service, NIS, was holding his son, Leslie. But in response, President Ruto reportedly joked, asking why anyone would want to arrest a young person over the Gen Z demonstrations. The president even mentioned that other officials, including Mr. Kiunjuri, had children who participated in the protests. To address the matter, the president made a direct call to Mr. Noordin Haji. According to Mr. Muturi, the president assured him that Leslie would be released within an hour. Slightly over an hour later, Leslie called me to say he had been released and was at home. I then went home to see him, Mr. Muturi concluded in his statement. This account marked Mr. Muturi as the second senior-ranking government official to publicly implicate the NIS in security-related controversies within a span of 6 months. In late June 2024, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua accused the NIS of failing to provide adequate intelligence on youth-led protests and growing public dissatisfaction with the Finance Bill of 2024. By December, Mr. Gachagua further alleged the existence of a covert abduction squad operating in Nairobi's city center. According to him, the unit worked independently of the police chain of command and was headquartered on the 21st floor of a building. He alleged it was led by a man identified only as Mr. Abul, who he claimed was a cousin of a highly placed government official.
And that brings us to the end of this compelling story here on Lifelens TV.
A big thank you to Peter Tosh Williams, the brilliant mind behind today's in-depth coverage. Your dedication to uncovering the truth and bringing clarity to complex issues never ceases to amaze us.
As always, we appreciate you, our viewers, for staying with us to the end. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Lifelens TV for more insightful stories and thought-provoking discussions. Until next time, stay informed and stay inspired. This is Edith Elegant.
And I'm David Morrison signing off. Take care and see you soon.